Welcome to another episode of OG55 Live. I got Jay, Sheer, Seymour, Duck, and Jared from Capture the Magic. Today, we are talking all about Netflix, Warner Brothers, Paramount. It's a lot. There is so much going on with this whole thing. It is absolutely crazy. Paramount might actually do this. We will see. We're going to talk about it. We're taking your comments, your questions up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55 Live. Today, we are focusing on that Warner Brothers, Netflix, Paramount situation. A lot has been changing. We're going to talk about. We're going to break it down. Before we do, I got the one and only Mr. Capture the Magic himself. Jared is in the house. How you doing, Jared? Always good to see you, brother.
He's muted.
I was muted. I didn't even hit the mute button. Thank you for having me here. This topic's interesting because it's got more twists and turns than a IndyCar track, I swear. Funny enough, it might end up kind of what I think months ago when this first started, I had an idea of like, it might go this route. And it might be happening that way, but we'll see. But you can find me at Cap the Magic here on YouTube. And then if you want some actual theme park, Universal Studios Orlando, Disney World information, you can go to CTM Podcast with my wife and I. But yeah, I'm curious what Jay and Seymour also have to say about all this because it's interesting. I talked about this like a week ago, and I think it's already changed since then. So it's like a very ever-changing thing as you talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's very fluid. And today I think was the deadline, right? They had a Paramount submitted their new offer. So
supposedly.
So we will see. But Jay Sheer, welcome back. It's always good to have you on the channel. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, and you're doing me a big favor because we're also live streaming to How Stories Work, and I needed to record my live stream today because I've been doing every single weekday a live stream. So this is perfect. It's like, oh yeah, let's talk about this. It's awesome. So thanks for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure, and it should be a really good discussion. I think the future of Hollywood is a very interesting topic, and so I think that as it relates to the marketplace and what's happening in the marketplace and all of the complexity of that, we'll get into it because it's a fascinating thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if they're watching on OG55 or Jared's channel, or if they come across this, where can they find How Stories Work?
Yeah, if you're not watching on How Stories Work, you can go to my channel, How Stories Work with Jay Sheer. I'm talking about filmmaking over there. I am a writer, director, producer, and I'll do scene breakdowns. I had a video on like what I thought of AI the other day. So yeah, you can find all that stuff over at How Stories Work with Jay Sheer.
There he is. And last but certainly not least, straight from the Duck Pond, Mr. Seymour Duck. How are you today, Seymour?
Hello. I'm doing wonderful. And thank you for inviting me and nerd out with you guys for corporate talk again.
Yeah, no, we love having Seymour on, and we especially love having Seymour on for the corporate stuff. This is right up your alley, Seymour, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. But before we do, where can everybody find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. Seymour Duck or here on Orange Grove 55 at the Duck Pond.
There he is. All right, let's rock and roll. And we got a new subscriber all the way from Illinois. It's good to see you. And thank you for joining OG55. Appreciate you very, very much. Okay, so Deadline. This is from Deadline. Paramount sweetens the offer for Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, this is wild, Jared, because you have been saying, because I've been kind of ruling out Paramount. I'm like, there's no chance. I'm starting to think there might be, but we'll see. We'll talk about it. With Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery's 7-day negotiating window expiring tonight, the David Ellison Company has sweetened its bid from $30 a share. Deadline has confirmed. The move, which has been expected, comes as Paramount attempts to pry Warner Brothers out of the arms of Netflix. The amount of the increase, which was first reported by Bloomberg, couldn't be ascertained. The move was anticipated after Warner rebuffed a stream of unsolicited offers from Paramount that all stuck to the $30 while making concessions around the edges. Warner Brothers has had ongoing concerns about financing guarantees in what would be the biggest buyout in history. That's a part of the current conversations. I'll go down the road. Jared, thoughts on this? What do you think?
So I had said the whole time, I think the Netflix deal with Warner Brothers is going to have a hard time going through regulatory things, given with HBO Max, they would own over 30% of the streaming market. And their argument was, and still is, that YouTube's there. So since YouTube has the bigger share, then it wouldn't impact it as much. But I've always felt YouTube and these premium streamers are very different in terms of how you would classify them. So I think the way this is shaping up, I kind of thought that was going to be the case. And I think really what you saw when Sarandos went in front of, I think it was Congress, and he got grilled pretty hard. And then you start hearing more stuff about some of these regulators talking. I get the impression, it seems what I was hearing, Charles Gasparino has been a pretty decent follow on this from the New York Post. And he was saying that they were hearing that there was a lot of, not panic, but Warner Brothers was basically like, essentially, I'm assuming there's back channel communication on all this stuff, but basically saying like, you're going to have a really hard time with this Netflix deal. There's actually a regular that even said Warner Brothers, it was like when it first went through and they said Warner Brothers has a better shot at collecting that $4.8 billion breakup than they do to get this deal approved. So I think this for Paramount, because they're going to have an easier road to get it approved. And if this goes, I've heard anywhere from $31 to $33 per share is where they might take this. I do think that puts it in a territory where Netflix may not be able to match it. Also, given their stock price has gone down ever since this whole thing has started. So I do actually kind of feel like Warner Brothers is going to end up taking this from Paramount and running with it. That's kind of where I'm sitting with this.
Interesting, Mr. Duck. What are your thoughts? Because you and I, Seymour, we were on the same page for a while about looking like Netflix. Has your mind changed on that, or do you feel like Netflix still has it?
Not at all. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I actually still think Netflix is still in the running to get it, and I think Netflix will have to get Warner Brothers in order to survive in the Hollywood if they wanted to grow. The one aspect that I didn't like about Netflix is that they didn't have the movie studios. They didn't have the IPs. And if they buy Warner Brothers, they have that. And I believe also that if they buy Warner Brothers, there'll be less of a layoff compared to if Paramount buys Warner Brothers. And I think that's one of the things people are forgetting. And I think also the fact that Paramount has to buy, in their offer, also includes the linear. And if you include the linear services, right, Paramount is actually just slightly under Netflix in viewership in the US in total TV viewership. If we look at streaming, yes, it's Netflix higher up there under YouTube. But if you look at the top three, it's YouTube, Disney, Netflix, and then Paramount right under it. And, you know, they let Disney buy Fox. Nobody ever said that was a monopoly. They let T-Mobile buy Sprint. You know, there's a lot of things that happen within the government. They allowed it for all of these to happen. And for me, I think it's a lot of it has to do with noise. You know, it reminds me of what happened with Google. Google had antitrust. They were looking at breaking it up. The stock went down significantly, just like Netflix is right now. And then all of that just gone away. And now the stock is up 100% since that ever happened with the antitrust, with breaking up with YouTube, Chrome. And I feel like this is what's happening here with Netflix. There's a lot of noise. And I feel like the noise is, you know, scrambling what's going to actually happen. And I still believe that Netflix is still going to go. And I think for transparency's sake and for a lot of the jobs, actually, I think shareholders for Netflix and Warner Brothers and the people who are working at Warner Brothers, because they don't have a lot of the jobs that are the same, because Netflix is just a streaming service, you save that a lot of jobs, where if Paramount buys, there's going to be that massive layoffs. And I don't like that in the industry.
That's fair. That's fair, Seymour. We talked about that, where you're not wrong on that, because there's a lot more redundancies with a Warner Brothers and a Paramount, right? They are essentially the same kind of entity. They're both studios, where Netflix is a streamer, so you're going to have less overlap. So that is a huge concern. The layoff thing is 100%.
And the linear one is the one that I'm a bit concerned as well, because When Disney bought Fox, they had to sell a lot of their linear networks, right? They had to sell Fox News, Fox Business, Fox Sports, all the Fox channels, right? Because they didn't want it to become a monopoly. But Paramount's case, they're already buying the things from linear that are already equal to what Paramount already has. That doesn't that also make them a monopoly? That's the question that a lot of people are not, asking. Like we think of Netflix a monopoly because it will beef up their streaming service, but Paramount will also become a monopoly if you think about it. They will control CNN and also CBS and all the other networks.
Yeah,
Netflix does not have any of that, right? And they're not even buying that; they're getting that spun out.
right. No, that's true. That is true. Valid point. Both of you gentlemen make great points. Jay Shear, what's your take on this?
So I feel like I fall on less of a side than Jared or Seymour. And the reason for that is because I think several things are weird. Okay. I think this deal hinges upon how the linear assets are valued. Because if I'm a shareholder of WB, I realize that I'm actually making two deals, right? I'm making a deal for the streaming, and I'm also making a deal for the linear. Now, that's not necessarily if I go with Netflix, I got to find another buyer for linear. I don't have a buyer for linear yet. If I go with Paramount, I get a buyer for both. So the big question is, what are the linear services valued at? And right now, Paramount's offer was very low for the linear services. I think it was around $1 per share or something like that for the linear. And WB was saying like we value it at like $3. So like this doesn't work for us, right? It doesn't add up. I listened to Ted Sarandos on the Town with Matt Bellany. Fantastic podcast. If you guys are interested in the Town at all and like the news about the Town, go listen to that podcast with Matt Bellany. He's awesome. And he interviewed Ted Sarandos on that show. Ted does a really good job. He's one of these executives that can talk his way out of a paper bag, dude. The guy is really good at talking. He's really good because Matt Bellany is kind of an antagonist when he interviews people. He's like, "Hey, buddy, bam, slam you with like a hard question." He did a really good job interviewing Ted Sarandos. The one thing I did not understand, and if someone could explain this to me, because Ted could not explain it to me in a way that I understood it, is why they even opened up this 7-day window, why Netflix even allowed them to open up this 7-day with 7-day window to take to consider another offer. It was a little strange. It in his explanation, he was like, "We're so confident in our offer that we want them to get confident in whatever they put on the table." To me, that is not the reason you would do that. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. That's a BS reason for doing it. But Ted is a really smart guy. So, and Clifflick says it's a Netflix off ramp, and I think that he may be right with that. To be honest with you,
I think there is something to that.
I think there's something to that as well. So I'm a little less confident, but I mean Seymour brings up some excellent points. I think the question and Ted Sarandos's pitch on the Town is a pretty good one for why it's better to have Netflix buy it than Paramount buy it. And Seymour got into a lot of those reasons and rationales, right? Like we tend to think of it as like, as consumers, what's the best for us? But that's not who's making the decision at Warner Brothers. The people who are making the decision at Warner Brothers is like, what kind of money can I expect from the stock price and the returns that I'm going to get? And so I think that there's a very good argument to be made, and Seymour has made it in fact, he's actually changed my mind a little bit about it, and listening to the Town and listening to Ted has changed my mind a little bit about it too. I think there's actually a compelling argument to be made that Netflix is the better buyer for the industry at large. Now, let's be really honest here. The best result for the industry at large is we do not have any buyers at all, and all of these things exist as their own. But that's not going to happen.
No,
that is
we
off
can't
the
have
table.
our cake and eat it as well.
Right? Exactly. So in my mind, I think that because I used to be more in favor of Paramount buying it, and I've sort of shifted over to where I'm kind of in the middle, and I don't really know what's better. But I will say this: the Paramount offer, in order for it to look good, I think I agree with Seymour on regulation. I think either way, it's really muddy either way in the regulatory department, because in a country where you're anti oligopoly, I think you would say neither of these deals work. The companies are too big. But like as we've already pointed out, and Seymour's pointed out, they approved Google. Google's way too big. That's ridiculous. But like they approved it, they're letting it go. So I think that for me, I think there are some really good reasons for Netflix to buy it for the industry at large. I think it's going to hurt movie theaters long term, but Michael Eisner even said movie theaters might go out of business in the next 20 years, or it's at least a very different business model. So I don't know, man. I think that it's all going to come down to, will the WB shareholders view Paramount's offer as being better for linear than they're going to get from somewhere else? And that's what it's all going to come down to, in my opinion. Because I think the regulatory environment is there's too much chaos. I don't think they're going to try and like regulate their way out of this, in my opinion.
Now you brought the regulators and regulators. Remember that?
Warren G, come on.
Warren G. But the regulators are a big part of this, and without diving too far into the political waters, because that can get kind of dicey sometimes, like with YouTube and all that stuff. But like, I mean, what do you guys' take on this in terms of like, because I think Warner Brothers, I think Paramount was already approved for, they've already been approved by the DOJ, right? I believe that's already been, like, they said they were going to approve it if they're the ones.
They've indicated that there will be an easier road for Paramount. They haven't approved it per se, but they have indicated that there's an easier road there.
Who said that at the DOJ though?
There was two or three sources. I don't think it was named specifically to a person, but it was like people with knowledge of the matter. It said it's, you know what I mean, how they kind of go about that.
The only reason I asked the question is because I think the Trump rhetoric muddies the issue a lot, right? When we say like, oh, Ellison is a Trump, like a MAGA guy, and we as soon as we get into that kind of thing, I think that takes us out of the practical and puts us in the political. And I'm not saying the political doesn't have a role in what we're talking about, but I think that the practical tends to win over the political when it comes down to the legalities of things. Because otherwise you open up yourself to lawsuits, and nobody wants that.
Well, and I think so. Just to be clear, my stand, I'm with you. I think either Warner Brothers needs to stay in business, or the best road of action to me would be auctioning off these various IPs to all these different studios. I think that'd be much more fair. Mm-hmm. I'm just simply talking what I feel like this will go. And the reason is, I think the reason Netflix has a harder road to go with this, most of these times when you have these mergers like Disney and Fox, Disney had to give up the regional sports aspect of it because that was going to be too monopolistic. So usually there's things you give up. The biggest issue you have with Netflix getting them is the streaming market, which is basically that's all Netflix operates in currently. So currently Netflix is 20 to 21% of share. WB with HBO Max is 12 to 13%. Paramount sitting at 7 to 8. So if Netflix gets WB, they're in the mid 30% on this. Whereas if Paramount gets it, they're still not going to be as big, or they'll be close to Netflix, but it's probably still not as big as Netflix. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I think Paramount has more concessions they can give when it comes to those linear TV assets. They can negotiate. They have more room to negotiate with this stuff. Mm-hmm. And if Netflix's biggest sticking point is the streaming and how big that makes them, I don't see how they can make any adjustments to that if that's the worry with this. And then just what they've said from the get-go, and even again, some of these reports out there saying that Zaslav, he got what he wanted out of this, which is the bidding war. Undoubtedly. Yeah. He is the genius in all of this, because he knew he wanted them to get into a bidding war. He's totally fine with, hey, $3 more a share. Sure. If Netflix matches it, whatever. But if they are getting the indication from the regulators that they're not going to get this approved at Netflix, this is where you can have all the reasons, the logic in the world. But if that's what's happening here, I think, if you break it down from the standpoint of what Paramount could give up to make them happy on certain things and what Netflix can't give up, to me, that's kind of where this sits.
So, Jared, do you think, and then I'll go to Seymour, do you think there's at all a possibility that like Netflix would be willing to maybe spin HBO Max off or something? Or maybe they can offer, like, remember how Hulu was owned by like 7 different people or 7 different entities, right? It was Comcast, Disney, I think even Fox had it, right?
Yes, Fox
Fox had it, and then Disney gained the majority because they acquired Fox, and now they own the whole thing. But Is it? Do you think there's at all a chance that Netflix would be willing to maybe do something like that, where it's like, okay, maybe they'll be like, they'll be like maybe part owner of HBO Max, or sort of like to alleviate that monopoly, the market share concerns, or do you feel like that's the prize for them? Like they want that?
I mean, I feel like Netflix wants it. I guess it would depend on how creative they want to get. I mean, they could come up with something of maybe a Hulu style thing. I don't think they would involve Paramount in that, but I mean, they could get pretty creative with this, and it might get muddy waters with like where they would control the IPs, but HBO Max would be separate. Like they'd have to work all that stuff out. So I'll never say never. That would be interesting. Like if they wrapped in Paramount into this and they had some sort of profit split, and then there's a lot of ways you could go with it, I'm sure, but I don't know. And I also think too, with some of the rhetoric you're hearing on Capitol Hill from some of the politicians, you have them, some of them on both sides of the aisle are even they're kind of against the whole thing, which I would agree with. I just think that Netflix, out of both of them, I think both of them have their monopolistic issues with this. I just think Paramount's is less, and Netflix is going to be viewed much more political for some of the people that have on their board and some of the deals they've made. And I think that may be something that could end up getting this to where it may not happen. Again, it could, but just where it sits now, I wouldn't be shocked if some of these regulators are already kind of indicating like this isn't going to go through.
What are your thoughts on that, Seymour, in terms of like what could Netflix do? I mean, with the streaming stuff to sort of alleviate those monopoly concerns, to kind of mitigate that. What could they do with HBO Max, or do you feel like they wouldn't want to do anything with it because they want the whole thing?
I actually think they wouldn't want to do anything with it, spinning it off, because I think the majority of Netflix users have Warner Brothers. They have HBO Max. I think that there's a small group, subset group, that doesn't have Netflix, but you're already the top tier streaming service. There's going to be a lot of overlap with users coming in. You're not going to gain a lot of the streaming users in there. It's more about the content, the back catalog, and the movie in the studios coming in more than anything. And there were rumors, I don't know if it's happening, but rumors that they would consider HBO Max to be their premium add-on, kind of like what Disney was trying to do with Disney Plus and Hulu, but then that didn't work out. So now they're merging the two platforms together as one. But apparently that was one of the rumors, that they were going to make HBO as a premium service. So if you wanted to see movies and a lot of the HBO content, then you would have it on there. But also that would muddy the waters with Netflix, because like, why are you paying such a high price? I don't know. There's a lot of logistics that needs to go around, but I don't see them spinning it off, because what do you get out of it if you're taking all the back catalog and the IPs? You're just going to get the user base? There's not much value to that for someone if you were to spin it off to someone else, right? I just don't see it. I just see no reason for that.
Okay, interesting. Now, Jay, I want to ask you on the creative side, like, I mean, what do you think? I mean, the Ellisons haven't really owned Paramount for very long, so we don't really have that much. I don't know. Do we have that much even like to reference in regards to how well they might manage Warner Brothers, or if they were to get it? Netflix, we kind of know. Like Netflix has a track record.
Yeah,
Paramount did turn down a good Ninja Turtle movie idea that I was not happy about. I will say that much.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, that's a big concern, right? Like, how are they going to? I love Warner Brothers. I love their library, so I am concerned about that. But go ahead.
And sorry, I just want to say, Paramount did say they were going to release 30 movies in the movie theater if they got Warner Brothers, and I'm like, that's not happening. And that's one issue, that if Paramount did buy Warner Brothers, that you're having one company who's already a movie studio and their business adding another movie studio. You're going to add more movies to the movie where their movies are currently not doing well as it is, and the industry is dying. Where Netflix, that would just extend their revenue and their margins.
Yes, that's an interesting point that you bring up there, Seymour, because we all did a reaction video, right, not too long ago with the Michael Eisner stuff. And Eisner saying in 15, 20 years that theaters won't even be a thing anymore. Paramount's saying, hey, we're going to double and triple down on this. Mm-hmm. We're going to drop like, what was it, like 40 movie or some crazy number? I forgot what the
Yeah,
number was,
something-
but it's
It is
something
like
crazy.
30 plus or something like
And
that.
30 plus,
And that-
yeah.
And that kind of scares me because a lot of the cash flow that they're doing to buy a Warner Brothers is coming from shares from Oracle, right? So if Oracle goes down and they can't fund the movies anymore, they're gonna have to sell, and the stock goes down, everything collapse. I don't like that. Where Netflix is purely debt that they're taking out, and it's a much safer company to do that. And that's kind of the reason why they went with Netflix in the first place. And Warner Brothers has stated this multiple times, is that because they can provide the cash flows to pay down debt, whereas Paramount, they don't have that current cash flow. You're gonna have to buy Warner Brothers, and you're using shares. You know what happened with X, right? Elon bought X with shares from Tesla. He had to keep selling those shares because they kept going down, and then X got bought out by XAI, and then XAI got bought out by SpaceX because they could not afford it. They're losing about over $1 billion a quarter now. And they can't afford it. So they just keep getting bought out by the companies that he owns. And I have a bad feeling that might happen with Paramount. And I don't want that to happen. With Netflix, I don't get that case.
That's a great point, and that is a valid concern. So what say you, Jay?
Okay, so couple things. I think one thing before we leave the regulatory conversation, I do think that the argument around for the regulatory environment is all in the definition of what an entertainment company is and what it entails. Because the question is, how does YouTube play into this whole mix, right? And how does, because YouTube is a giant company as well. So the question is kind of like, and we see Netflix moving towards a more YouTube-ish type model because they've added podcasts to Netflix. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but if you log into your Netflix now, you can see, oh, there's a podcast I can listen to. On the creative side is really weird because we are in such an era of chaos and disruption that it is almost impossible to predict how it's all going to shake out. By the way, thanks, Jose at Theme Park Philosophy, because we need 100 movies. If you'll fund mine, I'm in, dude.
Sell it to Jose.
Sell it to
Let's
Jose.
do it. Let's do it. And big shout to Jose, by the way. We love Jose. I mean, everybody check out Theme Park Philosophy on YouTube. Does amazing work.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Really smart guy. Here's the problem, right? So let me break down a little bit, and I apologize for going on for too long, but I like to talk about the history of Hollywood a little bit to showcase kind of why it's so chaotic now. Because when Hollywood was, back in the day when Warner Brothers came out and when Paramount came out as a company, they were operating in like corporate structures where you would like have employees. You'd have your stars would be employees, right? And technically, they're still employees under SAG contracts, but that's like more so a negotiation from the union standpoint than it is a functional thing. What I mean by that is you would have directors and actors that would be in all of your movies because they'd be employees. Oh, hey, we have Billy Wilder working on another movie. Like throw Humphrey Bogart into that movie because he's part of our staff, right? We want him to work that way. So they operated in a way that you'd think of a very corporate structure. And then over the course of time, that broke down into where it is almost more like you're pulling teams of people, and each movie is its own corporation. In fact, a lot of times they are. They're LLCs a lot of times. That when you invest in a movie, when an investor or a studio invests in a movie, it's formed an LLC around it. That changed the way the marketplace was doing things. But then streaming came along, and streaming said, well, this is a whole new business model. You pay us a monthly fee, and we just release content periodically for you. It's not like we're going to put it in theaters and make a bunch of money in theaters and then make a bunch of money on DVDs and then make a bunch of money on home video sales as well. And then rentals, there's a rental market. So the marketplace has gone through this rampant, chaotic change. As a creative person working in the industry, the ideal, you want two things, and both things are not really available to you right now. You want as many people to see your movie as possible, right? And you also want to get paid consistently. And those two things are not compatible with one another because in the streaming services environment, Netflix is your biggest distributor of all time. But if the algorithm doesn't hit, your movie doesn't get seen, right? And that's a lot. And if you're like on Apple Plus, that is like your ability of getting movies seen is much lower than it is if you're on Netflix. It just is, just based on the number of subscribers that are being out there. And because theatrical has become less and less important, it's becoming very difficult as a creative to determine, how do I want to navigate the marketplace? Do I want theatrical releases or do I want streaming releases? And I think that is, I think that either way, if you choose Paramount or if you choose Netflix, over the next 20 years, there's going to be a lot more creatives who are only getting streaming services releases. It just is what it's going to be. I think the budgets for movies are going to go down. You're going to get streaming releases. And even if you do get a theatrical release, you're not going to get these $400 million budgets unless you are a proven name that has a proven track record. It's just too expensive to make movies in that category. Now AI will bring that cost down. So we'll see how that shakes out. So I think that from a creative standpoint, I think the real damage is in what is my distribution deal going to look like, and am I going to even get a deal with the studios at all? Those are the two things that creatives are kind of more worried about. I think it's advantageous to people who are in the independent filmmaking market, because I think independent filmmaking is going to be at a lower budget where you can actually, like even why is K-pop Demon Hunters being so profoundly enjoyed by Netflix? Because they got a crazy awesome deal on it, right? So like the more streaming services can get a great deal on something, and the more it can perform, and the more you can create more content for them, okay, that's cool. But I think that it's really difficult for us creatives because we're seeing lots of chaos and we don't see means and ways of achieving what we want to achieve in the marketplace. And that's where you can debate all day long about whether or not Netflix should win or Paramount should win from a creative standpoint. But the reality is none of us know. And that's just what it's going to be. It's just going to be what it is.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's a huge question mark. We don't know. You don't know until they get in there. I mean, look, even back with Disney, right? When they really rolled the dice when it came to Eisner and Frank Wells. No one knew how that was going to work out. They brought in an outsider, from Paramount and from WB, and that could have went horrible, and it didn't. Thank God it didn't, but it could have. And same thing here. Paramount might get this thing, and it might be a new day for Warner Brothers. It might be the next golden era for Warner Brothers. You never know. Yeah. Same with Netflix. We just don't know. So it is. You're right, Jay. It is a scary time right now, I think, for creatives, because we do have that streaming stuff. We do have, and we're still reeling from all that. Like Hollywood's still trying to figure all that out.
Correct.
And now we got this AI thing, which is like the big, elephant in the room on top of the other elephant in the room, which is streaming.
And one more point to make about that I think is really important is that, and I think producer Patrick, who I follow on Instagram, he's a really great follow on Instagram, so check him out. He was saying we are in a time of contraction. When the streaming services were valued primarily based off their stock price, and it was like, who gives a shit about profitability? That when that was true, they were spending money like crazy because growth and subscriber growth was the order of the day. They all tended to hit a plateau in their subscriber growth that made investors go, wait a minute, I got into this because the stock price was low and the stock price was going up. But that's not happening anymore because subscriber growth isn't happening anymore. So now what's happening? Okay, well, now what's happening is I'm looking at profitability and going like, well, you better be profitable. That's more important to me than subscriber growth right now. So what that did was it took all of the streaming services went, oh, wait a minute. If we're focused on profitability, I can't change revenue much because I'm reaching the capacity of my growth. I can't grow anymore. I can't get more subscribers paying me $15 a month. So what am I going to do instead? I'm going to focus on profitability, which means what? I can't control the revenue side of the equation anymore. I've grown as fast as I can grow. That means I have to control the expenses side of the equation now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend less money making movies for streaming. So that is meaning that Netflix is saying we need to contract the market and not spend as much money on movies coming out. And that has been a real hit to creatives, and navigating your way through that marketplace is very, very, very difficult. So I don't envy any creative people out there because I think it's a big challenge to live under this existential crisis of what is the marketplace actually going to look like.
Well said. And actually, Kiki and Luca's comment kind of dovetails into what you were just talking about with the expense, right? He's saying, I read the reason why Netflix wants WB so bad is because they want the IP in the future. Netflix and other companies can use AI to make these movies for a fraction of the cost. That's interesting. That's interesting. Go ahead,
well,
Jared.
even what success means in the future is going to look way different than what it was in the past.
Right.
Like whatever this new, like let's say all this evens itself out, and that's where you still have profitability in streaming. It's going to look way different. And here to I had a super chat here on my side from Daniel Alpine 499. Thank you very much. He said, "I'm crying now because I don't want movie theaters to go extinct." And that's the thing about this. I don't know if they'll ever go extinct, but it's going to look much different in 10, 20 years. And there's a lot, like Jay was saying, there's so much uncertainty with this that this is why AI is going to play a role in all of this. And you could probably say the same thing for Paramount, is they want to eventually have these IPs they use and then holding them, because I think there's still questions about the audience's acceptance of AI and how much that's going to be used, whether that's it will be used on certain things that you're not going to see on the screen, but how much AI is going to be accepted on screen, I think is something that a lot of these studios just don't know. And I think they're hoping that they can use it because it's cheaper, it's quicker, and they don't have to pay actors as much, like all these things. But that may be where the economies of scale go, is implementing AI, because there's not as much profitability. Like you can't keep spending. What did Disney spend on Andor for 2 seasons? Like $800 million?
Yeah,
like there's no way you're going to ever,
Yeah.
like, how many subscribers are you going to get out of that? And then you also, Netflix and all of them have the issue. There's only so many subscribers you can get. Like there's a cap on that for most, as of right now. How many people are out there that just don't know about streaming or just waiting to sign up? Like most people have a streaming service they already use. So you're already capped on how many people are in that audience. So then you got to get creative. And really the only way you're going to make more money is by bringing costs down. And AI is going to play a huge role in that. So it's like a multi-level, like Jay was saying, from a creative standpoint, it's all muddy water. Like, and it's not only muddy water, it's foggy and you have no clue where you're going.
Exactly. And you got one, and you got
alligators don't get you.
And you got one headlight out on top of that. It's like it's a mess.
And it's difficult to it's even difficult to attach yourself to anything in particular. Like, is this role going to be the same role in 5 years? Like, I don't even know how to develop my skill set to be. Now I do, because I'm like very novice, right? So I'm going like, I need to learn how to direct things. But at least on that side, I'm more of an expert on the writing side. But yeah, so it's really, really scary. It's not very fun to be in the creative seat. Now, I did want to address the theater comment and the theaters going away. I think there will always be a place in the market for shared experiences around cinema. I think the question, though, is that my first... And in fact, you could make an argument that today it's not the first entree into the market, because streaming is already taking it over as like the thing I go to on a Friday night as opposed to going to a theater. But the question is how much of a market share does it hold? That's the question. So radio still exists, right? Yes. It's not like radio just like died and there's no such thing as radio anymore. Radio still exists. It's just that what we're seeing in the marketplace is we're seeing more opportunity for people to watch things in different places. And when we see that, it just creates a lot of disruption to the revenue models. And then people have to go like, what are these revenue models? And by the way, to the point, I 100% agree on the point that's been made in the comments that I think Netflix is primarily buying this for the IP. You listen to Ted Sarandos and he talks about diversifying the business model and doing more theatrical releases. I think that what he's saying is like, yeah, we'll always pay homage to the theaters, right? Like, but if in a streaming first environment, think about it this way. What if theaters become this blew up on streaming, do you want to see it in the theaters too? That's what it could become, right? Like it's a reversal of what we have today. So I don't think theaters are going to go away. I just think the importance of theaters is going to diminish over the course of time.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. That's really
like.
Oh, go ahead, Jared.
Less and less of them an event based to go to the theaters.
100%. Yes.
Well said. No, 100%. It'll be more like almost like how they do like Broadway stuff, you know. Yeah. Or it's a big event, right? Yeah. Where this is the one thing though with society in general that sort of is maybe because like, you know, we're all a little bit older, but like it's kind of depressing. I don't want to live in a world where like nobody interacts with each other. Like even these driverless things, like we got all over California now, these Waymos and stuff. It's like, I don't know, like for me, I want to be in a car with like a driver, if I'm in an Uber or taxi, I want to have like human interaction. You know, we see all these malls across the country going out of business. It's like, yeah, you can Amazon everything and have it delivered and all that. I mean, that's fine. And there is something to be said. And there is value in convenience. but I don't want everything to be that, and I'm not even a huge movie theater guy, but I think that experience though does or should have a place in our society. It's important to have that communal thing, right?
I agree. I think what'll happen, what if movie theaters want to survive, what they're going to have to do, and I think it's pretty simple, is they're going to have to lower their prices. They're going to have to get more competitive on running deals and sales. Like that's the way to get people to come in more. Like the prices in which they're at right now, you're just going to continually have less and less people willing to take chances on movies. And if the barrier to entry creatively and also for the consumer is lower, filmmakers can take shots on different things. Audiences are willing to be like, you know what, I'll spend $5 on a ticket to go see. I never heard of Jay Shear. Let's go check out this new movie that he's got. Versus if it's $15, you're like, I don't know about that. If I got 4 people, I'm going to be spending almost $100 for this. Like, I think the cost has got to come down if movie theaters want to survive. And like, that means being more creative and having more. I mean, Alamo, I don't think is doing great financially, but they had an interesting thing about old movies they premiere, like Back to the Future Nights, like doing more things out of the box, because their issue is going to be reliant solely on Hollywood. And I think as this continues to decentralize, you're going to get a lot of indie filmmakers with AI and other things that you could see pop into theaters that aren't from big studios. And so I think this continues, like Hollywood itself could continually contract due to more competition, but there is a scenario where these movie theaters do survive that just looks different, and you have a lot more independence. Look at the YouTube guy that made a movie a couple weeks ago. Stuff like that, I think you're going to see a lot more of. And I think audiences, if they already have a built-in audience, they kind of want to support that anyways. And I think a lot of people are looking for something fresh and new, taking chances. And Hollywood, as they continue to condense, they're also getting more risk averse, and they're not willing to take chances like they used to.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And then that feeds into them wanting to do AI, and the whole thing's connected. It's crazy. But we got a super chat from the one and only Marty. Marty with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Marty. Appreciate you, sir.
There we go.
Yes, let's go. Fantastic chat, boys. Appreciate you, Marty. Thank you so much. And we got Mr. Kiki and Luca here. Says AMC theaters attendance drops 10%. Quarterly revenues fall. Headline from Variety by Brent Langplus. I mean, I saw that too. That's not good. Go ahead, Seymour.
I was just gonna say, unfortunately, AMC's not doing well. They have been diluting shareholders quarter after quarter just to survive, just to get more money in the bank. And then they did a share offering called APE. And then after that share offering, they had to take the shares and then dilute shareholders again. They did some weird way, but just to get cash. I don't, unfortunately, see them surviving anytime in the future unless change happens. And one of the changes I do think that should happen, more studios should own movie theaters, where revenue is not independent of like sharing costs through the theater themselves, because the studio already owns it. And that those theaters will be able to survive more.
That's a great point.
They can do now. They just changed regulation on that back in like 20,
exactly
20, I think, where studios they used to be able to be prohibited from owning theaters. Now they can.
Yeah, they did back in the day, way back in the day, and in the early days of film, they owned the theaters, and then they got.
I think it was actually Paramount they ruled against it because they said it was. I forget the whole reason they even implemented the rule, but yeah, it was. I think Paramount was a big thing of it, but yeah, which I'm kind of surprised. I mean, like Seymour was saying, AMC. I wouldn't be shocked if, let's say, Netflix doesn't get Warner Brothers. I could totally see them buying a movie theater chain. Yeah. Or something like in innovating that experience, like those Tesla cafes you've talked about, OG. Like you could really get inventive, new blood into the industry in that way.
Well, it's like crazy. Oh, go ahead, Seymour.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and like those Netflix houses that Netflix has been like testing out in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Disney has had the El Capitan for years. Now, I don't know how Disney got around that rule where the studios couldn't buy theaters, because they've had. I mean, I was a kid going to the El Cap, and it's always been owned by Disney, or it has been for a long, long time. I saw The Lion King there. That's to give an idea how long this thing has been owned by Disney. But the reason why I bring the El Cap up is because that's actually an interesting kind of model going forward. It's that whole experience is sort of like ahead of its time in a lot of ways, because you could have a Warner Brothers own, say, a movie theater franchise, right? And they can do similar things like that, where have like these like events where if you have like a DC movie and have like almost like a DC stage show before the movie and things like that, kind of similar to what El Cap does with their Disney movies, right? And to your point, Jared, I think that's the kind of stuff they're going to have to do to get people in those theaters, because the convenience thing, man, it's really hard to work around that. We've seen so many industries. Retail right now is dying on the vine because of the convenience. It's so much easier to order on Amazon than to go to your mall. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
they have to really be creative now. Go ahead.
You could even see where, let's say, use your Warner Brothers example. They buy a theater chain, and then if you subscribe to HBO Max, you get one free movie theater ticket per month. And then you go in there and they figure, well, you go in there, you're going to buy some popcorn. And also, I think movie theater owners would likely sell, because they're probably, if I'm a movie theater owner, I'm trying to, how do I get out of this? And if somebody comes in and wants to buy your theater chain up for whatever it is, I'm not going to be surprised if that's the next stage of consolidation, is these studios buying up like an AMC or Regal or some of these other theater chains to then make it part of their product offering in many ways, aligning it with streaming, and kind of streaming and movie theaters kind of become almost the same thing eventually, with perks and, you know, different things like that.
Yeah, no, well said. And go ahead, Zimmer or Jay. Sorry,
I was just gonna say, I think for me, it's not about movies being too expensive or too inexpensive. It's about businesses, industries that aren't thriving are industries where the competitive marketplace is everyone's competing around the same thing. Let me give you an example. It used to be that you could compete around like, we are the premium theater and have premium elements to our theater. Nowadays, everyone's competing off the same things. We have reclining seats, we have IMAX, we have, like, it's all the competition is the same. I think that Jared is 100% true that more theaters need to be, and some commenters said this too, theaters need to lower their prices. For a certain segment of the marketplace, I agree 100%. You want to get those people in. I don't think people are realizing right now, because GDP, the way that GDP is measured today, we're still claiming we're not in a recession. But the reality is, for the everyday person, we are in a recession and things cost way too much money. So, like, luxury of going to a movie in the theater versus watching one at home that I already pay for is a very non-starter choice for me. But I do think you can go with, there are cheaper theaters and then there are premium experience theaters, and those are different things, and the marketplace can become diversified around those things. Better marketplaces that are performing better tend to have diversification and competition, because I'll tell you right now, I don't want to go to a cheaper theater. My biggest problem with going to theaters is the people's behavior when I get there. You pull out your phone in front of me, I'm like, forget it, dude. I'm out. Like, I want a theater to have a person standing there being like, you checked your phone, you get out, right? Like, that's how I feel about movie theaters. I'm very distracted. Blame it on, the ADHD or something, but I'm too distracted by you checking your phone. It takes me out of the movie. Why would I do that? I'd rather watch it at home, because at least if I'm checking my own phone, at least that's on me, right? So I think that, like, we need diversification in the theater going experience. We need cheaper theaters, and we need, because if I want to go see Jay Shear's independent film, yeah, Jared is 100% right. I'm not going to pay $25 for that, right? But if I'm going to go see the latest, when the Odyssey comes out, Christopher Nolan's new movie, I'm going to go see it on IMAX, on the biggest thing, exactly. So I think that we need more diversification in the marketplace. It's just like the airline marketplace, right? The airline market, everybody's giving you the same stupid experience, and they all suck. It's a race to be like the bus line in the sky, almost.
It's a race to the bottom in many ways.
Correct. And they have the same problem, because they have been heavily subsidized by the government, because their business models are not actually profitable. Yep. So it's the same problem. I think that we need to get back to a more sophisticated marketplace, and it's a bad time to do it because of the fact that wages have not increased as much as inflation has increased everything. So yeah.
No, well said. Now, Kiki and Luca here gifted an OG55 membership. Thank you so much, Kiki and Luca. I appreciate you as always, sir. Go ahead, Seymour. You actually mentioned in the chat, Seymour, about Alamo Draft House. I think you were responding to Mr. Theme Park Philosophy. If you have any thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, they bought the movie theater company.
No, is that what? That's where you go, right? I remember you saying that you go to these ones where you can sit
Oh,
down and have
no.
a drink, or no?
Well, technically the Canadian version of it, yes. But yeah, I
Gotta
go
move.
to Cineplex where I go to VIP where it's 18 plus only, no kids out at all. And I plan on
Nice.
going to again for the Super Mario movie. So no kids at all when they see that movie, only adults where they can drink easily and have their food. It's big comfy couch or recliner, that heated seats. You know, it's the winter now, so that's perfect. And yeah, I'm gonna go see it next month. No, April. Well, yeah, April. VIP, and it's nice because I get good food. I get good drinks. Last time I got a Long Island iced tea, but like in a fishbowl, and it's like that's good enough for me just for the whole movie. Yeah, yeah.
I would love to see a tipsy Seymour. I would be curious how Seymour is when he's a little tipsy. I bet Seymour, I bet you're fun. I bet you're fun when you have, a little,
Yeah.
you seem like a fun
Seymour
guy.
just starts quoting stock prices when he's drunk.
I love it.
I will come up there because that sounds like an awesome experience. I will fly up to Montreal. We'll go to the theater together.
But yeah, that's the only way I would experience a movie. haven't seen a regular movie like just in the movie theater with popcorn and those old seats. Nope. It's all big recliners that I can put my feet up. Right. I don't even do the 3D anymore. Just a good drinks, good food, and just relax. And that's what I'm gonna do with the Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movie.
Which looks like a great movie, by the way. I'm excited for that too. I am excited.
Funny.
I love it.
But
But
I was going to say I had a super chat on my side. Daniel Alpine for a $9.99. Thank you, Daniel, very much. It said, movie theaters is the one regular event I have in life. I'm not into concerts or sports. It's not good enough that it would be for events because it's not regular enough. I get. I mean, for instance, my wife and I have I don't know whatever you call it. Like you pay monthly and you get tickets and you can they can build up. I think we have like 7 free tickets that we can use because there's been nothing we really want to go see. Other than Mario, we're going to go see Mario with the kids, undoubtedly. But that kind of shows you even there, what's happened with this is, and when you have smaller kids too, getting to the movie theater is not as easy. As they get older, it gets a little bit better. But that's kind of the issue you have there too, is it's just, there's not, I blame the theaters, Hollywood has not put out nothing like you saw in the 90s. The amount of stuff people used to just go to the theater and be like, let's just go see a movie. We'll figure out when we get there. People don't do that anymore.
no.
And it's a lot more selective, but also the viewing experience at home. My neighbor just got a 100-inch TV for $600. And the thing is almost a movie theater size. You can get a very good viewing experience at home that back in the day, it was going to a theater was oh my gosh, look at that screen. And now it's it's cool. Obviously IMAXs are better and things like that, but the discrepancy between home viewing and movie theater viewing has this continued to shrink as time has gone on as well.
Yeah, and then you don't also have there's only certain kinds of movies where that theatrical experience really makes a difference, right? For example, anything Avatar is going to be incredible in the theater, right?
Right.
I mean, that franchise was made for the theaters. But do I really need to watch the rom-com on a giant screen? Do I really need to watch the detective drama and things like that? So there's a lot of those kind of movies where it's those are going to really be the streamer stuff,
Jared brings up a really, really good point about how the movie theater industry has changed drastically too. For example, if I log in to see a movie on opening weekend and there's not a good seat available, bro, I'm not going. Right? Yeah. I'll just pick a different day. It didn't used to be that way. When we were kids, you would walk up to the theater and if you knew that these were the fun times. If you knew that Return of the King was coming out and you knew that everybody was going to be there, you'd line up 3 hours in advance, bro. You had a 6-hour day. That was fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%. You had a 6-hour day planned ahead of you because you knew the movie was 3 hours and you're showing up early so you didn't get a bad seat. I think what's happened what's changed from movie theaters that really sucks is this pre-purchased idea. And that's one of the reasons why it's premium now almost always. Because you used to go to the theater and it would be here are the 5 movies that are playing. Only 2 of them interest me and there's no good seats left. So I'll still buy a seat in the front row because I don't want to go home. I already drove down here. Right? So it's just changed the whole nature of convenience has changed what going to a theater even means anymore.
Yeah, no, it has. Convenience has really changed the game on so many fronts.
Mhm.
You know, it really, really has. Ryan Turner here says entertainment has skyrocketed. Movies are competing with sports, concerts, theme parks for those dollars. It's easier for consumers to cut the theater experience because of the streaming option. Exactly. And especially if you have kids. I mean, Jared, you know, like
Oh,
to
yeah.
go see a movie like an animated movie in the theater. I mean, if you have two kids and then you got the parents, I mean, you're spending $100 just to walk in the door.
Mhm.
And then if they see the popcorn bucket, they're going to want that. Like, you know, it's just now I will say some of these theaters have these kid times where they're a little bit cheaper and the kids can be kind of like, it's not the best movie theater experience, but if you don't bring kids, like, you
Right.
know, it's like, okay, you don't have to worry about your kids being so loud. Like our kids are at the age now where they'll sit through a movie now and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think if it's theaters have a very interesting problem on their hands. And even speaking to Daniel again for another 5. Thank you, Daniel, very much. Appreciate that. So I don't think building a personal theater in my house because I'll be trapped in my house and it will never replace the real thing. That is true. But as like, imagine where all these are going to be in like 5 to 10 years. Like that, like I walk into Costco and you see these screens sometimes. I'm like, it looks like a window into a portal. I'm like, what in the world? Like this stuff's just going to get better as time goes along.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just you are going to have the movie theater experience change, and it's never going to go back to how it was. Like it's not. I mean, I remember that as a kid. I remember going to Spider-Man 2. We got there like 4 hours early on a Thursday night preview. People are dressed up, like you're talking to people. It was a really cool like you were saying, OG, like a social thing. You go hang out with people. Yeah, I made friends at those things. GameStop and like Halo dropped. I remember going to that at midnight. Like that was a communal experience that movie theaters just don't have anymore. So they're going to have to change it, and it may not look the same. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if somebody gets into the movie theater industry that really changes it up, brings a different perspective to it. Because right now it's kind of rearranging chairs on the Titanic in many ways. Like popcorn buckets have helped them, but popcorn buckets are not going to save you as a movie theater chain by just having these buckets come out. And I also think that's a good point too about people just don't love the Hollywood culture anymore. Also, I think that is part of it too.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge. I want to come back to that actually. Rudio here says even the concert going experience has been hit hard by inflation.
Oh god,
it can easily become a $1,200 experience, and your experience can be from the nosebleeds with someone screaming in your ear while filming. Exactly, Rudio. You know, he's right.
Prices are bad for food. Good Lord, man. Sporting events and concerts is wild how expensive that stuff gets.
Absolutely. Rudio, by the way, big shout to Rudio. He's a friend of mine, and he's my fellow K-pop fan. We're always texting back and forth, talking K-pop and stuff. So big shout to Rudio. Love Rudio.
There is an interesting scenario based on what Jared was saying that I think is kind of fascinating, and we can get into the Hollywood culture aspect of things.
Sure.
We are seeing, and we were talking about this in our group chat, but we are seeing a redefinition of how globalism works, and we're seeing a contraction of globalism, right? And we were talking about in our chat, I think you brought it up, Jared, but I totally agree. It's very obvious that the U.S. is moving back towards more of a Monroe Doctrine approach. And just for anybody listening, the basic thing when I say Monroe Doctrine, don't have your eyes glaze over, because all it means is that the U.S. is very focused on making the Americas, all the way up from Canada all the way down to South America, more stabilized and feeling like this is our marketplace and we don't go global as often, is what the Monroe Doctrine basically means. And I think that that's interesting, because the question is, will we get the cheap TVs? It's highly possible. Most cheap TVs, the reason why we have such a high quality of TV at a low price is because of the Asian marketplace building TVs the way that they build, primarily China. So it is interesting to think like, okay, what if TVs actually go way up in price relative to the theater experience cost? It may change the way we see things, because if we can't replace the manufacturing of TVs in another location, probably South America or Central America, then we could be seeing TV prices go skyrocket, and then all of us are going, oh, if we didn't get one, or if our TV goes kaput and we have to go somewhere else, like, yeah, it's entirely possible that we would see a rise in theater going from that.
Yeah, that's a great point. Cliffix here says people just don't love Hollywood culture anymore, and then he goes on to continue that who was the Tom Cruise, the Harrison Ford, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Sylvester Stallone of today? They are fading away, and this is the thing too. And I think like YouTube creators, I think Twitch streamers, they've sort of ruined the celebrity, like the
Social
traditional
media for sure did that.
right? Because you can go on to, like what's that one guy's name? iSpeed, I think his name is, right?
Oh, yeah.
All the young people love him.
I Show Speed,
Mm-hmm.
Kai Cenat.
Exactly, Seymour, and you can interact with them, and they interact with their audience, and it's much more of a, what I'm saying, engaging experience where none of us are gonna be able to talk to Harrison Ford ever. So there's just something to be said about having that like community, and you can like with these content creators, you don't get that with old Hollywood, and it's just different, and it feels way more polished and just less approachable and what have you, right? So I think that's a big part of it. But Jared, what are your thoughts on why are people falling out of Hollywood? That's my theory, but maybe I'm off base. I don't know.
I think it's because they started talking way more on social media, and you realize, my opinion is, I think a lot of people going back how the Romans viewed actors, which is just kind of dummies that like they're not supposed to be viewed as these like elite people in the world like you look up to. I think it was the Romans. They kind of an interesting philosophy. They kind of looked down on actors like in that way. I think it used to be a thing if you had like if Arnold Schwarzenegger went on Jay Leno, you were like, oh, I want to check out Arnold. Like what's he doing? They got a new movie, and you just don't have that anymore because there's just social media has made communication much more accessible and open. And then, I mean, honestly, I don't know if I would be shocked if any celebrity ever swayed anybody politically one way or the other. And it's like, just if you have a movie coming out, talk about your movie. Like it doesn't have to be this whole thing, but the more they start talking, I think a lot of people, it splits an audience. And I think that is part of what's happened with Hollywood and the theater. And then you couple that with the quality of movies and stuff that we're getting is not what it used to be. In terms of like, look in the 90s, like I think like any given year in the 90s, you probably had like 10 bangers come out that probably would be like all-time classics. Yeah. I don't know if you had 10 in the last 10 years, you probably have, but you just don't have the same quality that you used to. And I think as time has gone on and people are just sort of tired of it and they just want to escape. And I think a lot of ways people are unable to escape anymore, whether that's movies or sports or whatever. People just want an off-ramp of life sometimes. Like, I just want to have fun for 2 hours without somebody telling me that I need to, care about this thing or that thing. And so far, I don't know, maybe Hollywood is starting to get that message, but I think that's part of it as well, is people just want escapism that they're not. I mean, this is why I think theme parks have gotten more popular, because you can actually go to a theme park and just go into a land and have some fun. Like, you don't have anybody in there really trying to preach to you or sway you one way or the other.
Well, great points. And Mr. Seymour, what are your thoughts on this? Why do you think this Hollywood culture, because it does seem like people have kind of fallen out of love with it. It's not the same, but why? Well, I mean, I know you follow a lot of VTubers and social media people. So
it's all about the deep connections. And in Japanese culture, the idolization of a person, as a job is normalized there. And you start to see that with a lot of VTubers, YouTubers, streamers, where you create this deep connection where you can interact with them every day when they stream. You can donate to them if you need to see them thrive when they stream, right, as their career, and that gives them a deeper feeling, a deep connection, compared to a celebrity nowadays where they don't even acknowledge you, right? For the example, the movie that Markiplier came out with, right? There's a lot of people who are deep connected with them. They're probably not even knowing what the movie's like. The movie, they're not a big fan of the genre, but they're willing to go see the movie to support him. They're willing to spend their hard-earned dollars to support him because they have that deep connection. They're fond of him. They think of him as a celebrity nowadays compared to what we had before with Hollywood.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And John here is checking on me. I am getting over a cold, so you can probably hear it in my voice still a little bit. Yeah, I'm getting better. But yeah, I've been on NyQuil, and plus I spent the whole day at Disneyland yesterday, which probably wasn't great for me, but I am getting over it. I am over it, but I'm still, it's the residual tiredness and all that stuff. But I appreciate John checking on me, but I'll survive.
I know
I'm sending him the Jared protocol. Don't worry.
Exactly. The vitamin D, absolutely. But I'm not I'm not sick really. I'm just kind of like coming down from it all and just kind of recouping. So, but I appreciate you, John. Thank you. Go ahead, Seymour. Sorry for interrupting.
I was just gonna say I did see that you highlighted Team Park Philosophy's comment about the Chinese company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the company TCL, they bought a 51% ownership at Sony's TV division. So they're going to create a new venture and create more premium brands using the Sony's Bravia division. So I don't know how that's going to turn out, but it's unfortunate because now that means another company is taking control. Consolidation is happening.
Yeah. It is. I think it's a little unfortunate because I almost bought a TCL and I almost bought a 98-inch TCL because the price was so low. I've never owned a big screen TV before, so this is like the first one I was going to buy. I was trying to buy a 98-inch TV. It would not fit in my basement. They couldn't get it down the stairs and fit it into my basement. So I instead got the Sony Bravia 7, which I knew was a gorgeous TV. And I got a used one, an open box one I had to go rent a U-Haul and drive all the way to Denver, which is pretty far from me. Pick it up, drive back, take the U-Haul back. It was ridiculous. But I will say the Bravia is one of the best TVs in the marketplace in terms of like the movie going experience, because it's not I wouldn't say the TCL brand can compete really well on the sports side, but on the movie side, when you're trying to get a lot of clarity into the movie going experience, it's a fantastic TV. So I'm really interested in that partnership and how I hope they don't screw it up, because the Sony Bravias are so cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Disney Diva Gem here. Thank you so much, Gem. Appreciate you as always. I love the movie experience, but there are so many great options with the streaming services now, with the movies and shows. You can get great movies at home and you already paid for it. It's a great point. It's that convenience factor, Absolutely. Absolutely. And Ryan Turner, do you guys have an opinion why Disney Plus or other streamers don't put movies for rent on the platform after the theater and before it's free on a streamer? What say you, Jared?
I think one of the things is Hollywood is you no longer have a secondary market really with like Blu-rays and things. I think that has been something, and that's where you got a lot of sleeper hits. Like Austin Powers was one that didn't do great in the theaters, that had a really good secondary run. And I think rentals, like, that is something I'm surprised they haven't toyed with more, because if you did extend that out a bit, I think you could get more theater more run of your movies and things. But at the same time, I think even if you delayed it a year, there's enough people now to be like, I'll just wait, because look at how many things are out there now. Like from shows, like, and there's some, by the way, as movie quality has not been as good, the show quality on some of these streamers is fantastic. Like Paramount Plus is not as big like as the other ones, but they got some really good shows on there. Mobland was on there. Like Netflix has had some great shows. So there's enough content out there now where I think just people are just conditioned into it now. They just know it's going to come, even if it's 9 months later. They'll just be like, "Oh wait," unless it's like Doomsday, like those types of movies where people will go to theaters to see that. That'll probably make $2 billion or something like that. But those are going to be like every 5 years you get one of those type of movies, maybe. Right. I just think where the audiences are and where the market is and the consumer practices, you wouldn't get all the streamers either to hop onto that. Like even if Disney decided to do that, doesn't mean that Sony, these other ones, would do it. And so they would probably just be hurting themselves in many ways, probably is the way they would look at that.
Well said, well said. And Theme Park Philosophy here says Sony's video processing is the best in the game. 100%, Jay.
I've heard
there it is.
It's excellent.
There it is.
Yeah.
And Rio here says, I genuinely think all of Pauly Shore's 90s run was heavily popular due to home video. That's a great point, actually.
100%. There was a lot of like cult classic movies too that like got sequels because of like home video and things like that. Like I think that's just one of those things where they don't have that anymore. Like rentals will be there, but it's not the same thing as it used to be. How they used to operate that.
Yep. I think, is that your super chat or mine? I can't tell on my end.
Let me. That is mine. Okay, that was Daniel. Yeah, what's up, Daniel? Thank you again, Daniel, for the 5. He says, "I guess I'm cursed to live a boring life. I won't have any reason to leave my house other than work. Movie theaters filled that need. I hate life. Don't give up on it just yet. It's okay. Listen, don't black pill. I always tell people, don't black pill. There's always good things. Theaters." I don't agree with Eisner when he said the movie theaters will be obsolete in 20 years. I think it'll look different. you probably won't have as many of them, but I don't ever think movie theaters will completely go away. Like they'll be there.
Yeah.
Like the Sphere, but it may look at the Sphere. Like you may have some wild stuff these places do to really like the Sphere is an interesting thing of like, could you see that where they actually do they show movies in there?
Yeah, they've showed edited movies.
Okay.
So they showed like Wizard of Oz, but it's edited down to like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that.
Gotcha. And then what's that one thing? There's that one where it's like a giant screen where you're like the sports venue where like you're almost there. And they showed a movie there and it had a bunch of like extra stuff to like add to the scenery. Like I think you could get really inventive in ways that some of these people like these theater chains could start trying to get crowds to come back in with technology, and maybe AI helps with that. Like, you know, technology can be the thing that really opens up possibilities in the future. It just depends on, do the theater chains take advantage of it, or does that require like a studio buying it and then they get inventive with like more money or something like that?
Well said. James All Day here says, do you think Paramount would put John Lasseter in charge of the Looney Tunes for movies? I mean, he's the animation guy over there at Paramount, so he probably that would probably fall under his purview. That would be interesting because honestly, John Lasseter hasn't really had a cultural hit since he's been out of Pixar. He really hasn't. I mean, I can't even. I mean, half the movies, the animated movies he's done, I have to really think about it. What was that one with the cat? I think it was called Luck, right?
Yeah, there was Luck. Yeah, none of them hit though. Like anywhere near what Pixar in its heyday.
Yeah, he needs a win. And hey, these are big IPs like Looney Tunes and stuff. I mean, that would be, that would be great.
If you can go back to comment about renting on the platform. I just had a few comments on that.
Do you remember who said that one?
Yeah, Ryan Turner.
Oh, Ryan Turner. Okay. This one. Right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I just have two comments. One is that I actually have a thesis on Netflix where if the movie theater business is dying significantly, that they would use HBO Max as a platform to release movies as well alongside with the movie theaters. I think going forward, Disney Plus, if I'm not mistaken, did this during COVID, and Bob Chapek at one point suggested that might be the future of the streaming. I think it was called Premier Access, and I think you could rent like Jungle Cruise and one movie from Marvel that came out as well. I forget what it was called. You could rent movies there, and it was like $30, and it was not bad. It was actually pretty successful for Disney, and I actually think that. I actually think that in the future, I think these platforms will adopt that. If the movie theater business dies down so much that they need to generate revenue from the movies that are being released, and they're not getting a significant amount, I think they're going to pull a lot of these movies out of the, iTunes and whatnot, and put it, renting straight to their platform instead. Because with Apple, if you put it in iTunes, they have to give a cut. If you put it onto their streaming platform, they get 100%.
Yeah.
Well said. Theme Park Philosophy, between The Naked Gun 2025 and Scary Movie 6, I'm hoping for a resurgence in the slapstick genre because Lord knows we need it. No, 100%. We all need a laugh. You know what I'm saying? We all need a laugh. 100%.
Dude, there's so many things you can poke fun of in society now. I enjoy, like, it's just, I love those types of movies. Like Hot Shots Part 2. I still love that movie. Like the part where he's like, oh, I can't walk. They tied my shoelaces together. It's like, those bastards. Like, it's just goofy, dumb stuff like that. It's just fun. Like, it doesn't have to mean anything. It just be silly.
Yeah, exactly. Just have fun with it. Disney Diva Gem here says, when the theaters were closed and you can bring the $20 release at home, that was the most affordable option. Something like that, again, would affect theaters.
Yeah.
There you go. And now, I don't know the answer to this. I thought Skydance and Paramount are kind of like Disney and Pixar, where they're two technically different studios, but like Lasseter runs both. Now, I could be mistaken, but
I'll look up real quick.
Yeah, check it out. But that's what I thought.
Okay, they're separate but connected. Skydance Animation is owned by Skydance Media. Paramount Global does not own Skydance Animation. So they're separate companies, but they have a distribution and partnerships. So Skydance Animation has that exclusive distribution deal with Paramount.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Interesting. Well, I'm very curious how that whole John Lasseter thing is going to kind of shake out if he has control over WB.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge, huge thing. Now, I do have a couple super chats from the one and only Mr. Matt Humer. So I'm going to go ahead and read. He's got a two-parter here, all the way from the UK, 10 euros for part 1. Can't wait to be back on the show in the next week or two to propose my hand-drawn Disney adaptation of the 1960s puppet series Thunderbirds. The WB situation, in my humble opinion, truly is David Zaslav's fault. He sunk the stock price too much and almost killed animation while squandering Harry Potter and Wizarding World, and Paramount Global is just generally a shady enterprise. Yeah, I don't think that Zazie has done a great job with Warner Brothers either. I mean, well, I'm a big animation guy though, and I think that's been the weakest part for Zaslav. I think he's really fumbled the animation. But what do you think, Jay, in terms of like how Zaslav has so far kind of handled WB?
Let's face it, Zaslav is not. He's not even really playing a game with the creatives. He's really just out for shareholder wealth, to be honest.
Right.
So I think Matthew is correct from a fan standpoint. But if you're a shareholder of WB and you want to maximize shareholder revenue, I think you're the biggest fan of David Zaslav of anybody. And this is where the conflict between business and creative will always be this. Sometimes creative is winning, sometimes business is winning. It's unfortunately one of those things we have to live with. One of the best track record wise. Okay, so when you hear me say this is not a value statement. This is a observation of the market statement. One of the best film production companies that existed was Miramax, and that was run by a total dirtbag, right? Like so I think that we won as an audience creatively when Harvey Weinstein, the Weinstein Company, was producing movies. They produced some bangers, right? We wouldn't have Tarantino without Miramax. The problem is that guy's not a cool guy, right? Like he's a jerk. So now Zaslav is the opposite of that in terms of we're not getting great creative stuff. What we're getting instead is like this unfortunate business equation. The four of us, would we rather be talking about the awesome movies we saw or whether or not Zazie was going to make a bunch of money? Like we'd be rather talking about the other thing, right? So unfortunately, I think the winners and losers are often viewed through the context of, well, did it win for me or did it lose for me? And I think as an audience, we're all losing. That's 100% right. Matthew's right in that. But you can't say Zaslav is one of the worst executives because he's making money for his shareholders. So it's like it depends on which bucket you fall into.
And that's also why they brought him in too, was kind of what's going on right now. That's the whole reason Zaslav was brought in. So
100%.
And Remy D right here. Zaslav was brought in to raise the price for the sale.
Yep. And he even said initially, like whenever they start those bids, it was reported like what has played out is exactly what he wanted, which was just a bidding war that drove it up. And he played from that end, he played it masterfully, knowing that you had two buyers that wanted it and let them bid.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was reported back years ago when the Warner Brothers merged with Discovery, when they spun off with AT&T, that this type of deal would happen.
Yep.
Sooner or later. AT&T would get the benefits from all of that because they still own a lot of shares in Warner Brothers Discovery.
Now, Ryan Turner here says the lack of comedies hitting theaters is tragic. Great theater experience with 400 people reacting to the movie. Yeah. No, I love comedies, man. I love them. I absolutely love them. I could sit and watch. One of my favorite comedians of all time is Cat Williams. I could watch this man all day long. I love that man. He is amazing. Who's your favorite comedian, Jared? Do you have one?
All time. Yeah, I mean Richard Pryor, Robin Williams of all time. Modern guys, Shane Gillis is really funny. Chappelle, Cat Williams' older stuff I think is funnier, but he's still funny. Bill Burr's old stuff was gold. I used to love Bill Burr just ranting on things. I'd be like, I feel the same way. But yeah, I mean, I one of the things I do love is stand-up comedy. I think it's Brian. You know what's fun? Brian Callen is a really good stand-up comic. He's not as big as some of them, but he's really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What about you, Seymour? Who do you like in the comedy field?
Norm Macdonald.
Oh,
Okay.
Norm, so good.
Okay.
He's
Um,
Canadian,
I
so
forgot about Norm. Yeah, Norm's good. He's also Canadian. There you go.
Absolutely, fellow Canadian, right, Seymour? What about you, Jay?
I'm a fan of Nate Bargatze. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of Shane Gillis. Those two guys are hilarious. I'm trying to think. I did like Chappelle's earlier stuff. I mean, the Chappelle show is one of the best shows ever. I think
man.
that
Killing
Him-
Him Softly is one of the best stand-ups ever.
yeah, the more recent stuff, I'm not as interested in any of the political commentary like deal, right?
Agreed.
And I'm also not as interested in
Same
this. I'm not interested in this like this bro-ish comedy that can sometimes, I know Shane like sometimes leans that way, but if you really listen to him, he's not bro-ish. But when you get like the Bert Kreischers and the like, that doesn't appeal to me. It's like that's just not
Yeah.
funny.
I don't
But
think that's funny.
yeah, but yeah, I think I'm trying to think of anybody else that has. I actually am really interested in some of the younger comedians that have come out too, but their names are slipping my mind at this point in time.
I forgot. Nate Bargatze's a good one. He's
Yeah.
genuinely just a funny. He seems like a really good dude. Also,
Yeah,
Dave Chappelle, speaking to him, is not only is he funny, but he is probably one of the best storytellers.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
James All Day here says my favorite comedians are Eddie Murphy, Adam Sandler, and Andrew Dice Clay.
Nice. I used to have the Adam Sandler comedy albums back in the day when he would have those skits. Oh,
Yeah.
those were so funny when I was in 8th grade. I thought they were the best thing ever.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And Rogue here says comedy died when people with people getting offended. Yes, that's a thing. That's a thing.
yeah.
I'm offended by that comment, by the way, Rogue. Go ahead, Seymour.
No, it just reminds me of, I think it was at the Oscars and the slap. Was it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it
Chris
is
Rock's another one. Chris Rock's older stuff especially is really good.
well, it's like back in the day, right? Like we used to have shows on Fox. Remember the Sunday night shows where we had like In Living Color
Oh yeah.
and Married with Children? I mean, stuff like that would never happen today. I mean,
I
that
thought
stuff
it's
was
getting to the point where it could happen again, but you had a stretch there definitely the last 10 years where like they were not going to do stuff like that, undoubtedly. But you probably see a lot of this stuff on YouTube now, to be quite honest, not on network television.
yeah, but there are some that like slip through the cracks. Like Family Guy is outrageous.
Dude, old Family Guy was so good. I used to love old Family Guy. I made a joke to my wife the other day, the episode with James Woods when he takes over Peter's life and he just, a piece of candy. I don't know why. It's always stuck in my head about just picking up a piece of candy and following him around.
I love it. I love it.
There's always Sunny and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, Sonny.
Oh, Curb Your Enthusiasm was one of my.
I never
favorite shows
watched
of all
Curb Your
time.
Enthusiasm, but I've seen bits of it. But
Oh,
Larry
it's
David is
so
funny. though.
funny.
And Natasha here says COVID ruined everything, including comedy. Hey, she's probably not wrong. I don't think we've ever fully recovered from COVID, to be honest.
think
with
it's
you, as a
more-
society.
I do think you're right about that, but I also think one of the things that's ruined comedy is that, and this is ruined or improved lots of things, but it's actually the way that social media works.
Yeah.
Because it didn't used to be that a comedy special would come out and you'd hear your aunt's opinion on it, right? But now your aunt's on Facebook being like, "Oh, I'm so offended by this," whatever. And so I think part of it is like the feedback loop is now different, and the feedback loop kind of sucks. And so I just, not into that.
Well, you also have the clips. Clips get taken out of context or something, and narrative gets
Yes.
built around it. People read headlines; they don't actually watch the thing, and you're just like, okay, like it goes both ways. Like people do it for everything, and I hate it.
Well, even the Rogue Attraction mentioned Matt Rife, and there's this issue in stand-up comedy right now where it's like you don't want your bits to get out onto the internet, so you do crowd work all the time so that you can share those things and get more people at your shows because you were funny doing the crowd work. And to me, it's like, well, that is a little bit of a death of the actual storytelling, joke building, delivery. You know what I mean? Like now I have to interact. Now you have to interact with the crowd. Like, so I think that all that stuff, it's just a changing marketplace, right? And so, Jared's kids, when they grow up, they're going to be like, that's what we like. We like it when people are goofing off in front with other people. To me, I'm like, just shut up, dude. I don't want to hear what you have to say. I want him to do the jokes or her to do the jokes. So it's just a different changing of societal rules.
Kill Tony's another one. It's got some good moments. It's kind of, you get all those guys on the same stage. It's actually pretty funny. I've watched a little bit of that. It has some pretty good moments.
You know, James Alday says Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, he is a smart dude. I mean, Family Guy is one of my favorite shows of all time. I never really got into the other stuff though, like American Dad.
American
and all
Dad
that.
it was okay. Yeah, it was Family Guy in a different way. But yeah, Family Guy, like the early Family Guy stuff was definitely like his best stuff.
Yeah. Now, Seymour, you've always been more of a Simpsons guy, right?
Yeah, but a Family Guy it's more funny for me as a comedy show, right?
Yeah.
But I do like The Simpsons. Yes, it's one of my favorite IPs of all time.
Love it. I love it.
This won't come as a shock. I still love Family Guy when Stewie's on roids and beat up Brian for money.
Where's my money?
Where's my money, man?
Oh my gosh. And well, the great thing about Family Guy too is that it doesn't mind having like long pauses and making you feel uncomfortable, right? Like,
Oh yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
right? Like the bits go on for way longer than they should.
No.
yeah.
And it makes it even funnier. Like that one where like he was trying to Peter was trying to get like the dead frog out the window, and he had like the shoebox and he's trying to lift it and it kept dropping. And that bit went on for like 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and it was so funny. It was
It's like
because it went
gets
on forever.
funny, then it gets funny again. Like it's just willing to take that risk of like putting that in the middle of the show. Yeah,
Absolutely. And Cassandra here says Mad TV. Yeah, that was a good show too.
it
That
had
was
its
fun.
moments. It had its moments.
Isn't
Yeah.
it crazy that none of us ever bring up Saturday Night Live anymore?
Yeah,
Bro, that show in the early goings of that show, hilarious. And then as soon as they got too politically correct and like network controlled, it's not the same, man.
Yeah,
No, you're right.
yeah.
I wonder how long that show's gonna last. You think it has a future, Jay, or you think it's some borrowed time?
I don't know, because even that marketplace has changed, right? Like, when's the last time anyone sat down to watch Saturday Night Live? I've watched clips on YouTube.
That's how most people view it now. Probably.
Yeah, that's how most people view it now. And so I can just tell you right off the bat that there's some skits that I'm like, this is part of the problem, right? Is that our expectations have changed drastically as an audience, and entertainment is still trying to like catch up to what that means. Because there's what we talked about with movies. Before, I could walk in trying to buy a ticket for like, I'm just going to use 2 movies that didn't come out in the same year, but I could be going to buy a ticket for Avengers Endgame, and they could be like, "Oh, sorry, we sold out. I didn't know because we didn't have an app." And then I go, "Oh, I guess I'll see Anora." Well, I loved Anora. I thought Anora was fabulous, but the only reason I saw Anora is because it won an Oscar. I would have not seen Anora otherwise, probably, right? And so, like, our expectation versus our reality is so different. If I see a thumbnail on YouTube and see a description of the skit, I go, "I'm not interested in that particular skit," and so I skip it. But that might have been the funniest skit in the show that I would have been like, I'm watching the whole show because I don't know. I don't have clips available to me. I can't just select whatever I want. So our expectations have changed dramatically in terms of what we expect to happen when we go see a thing. And that's just rough, man. I don't know. I don't know how to solve that problem. That's an existential problem that I think about all the time.
Yeah, no, and yeah, the late night TV stuff. I mean, CBS is completely getting out of that game. They're not even going to replace Colbert. They're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've tried
That's
other
definitely
models.
a dying one.
Yeah, they've tried other models. Like they've tried, trying to go just to YouTube, and it just none of the models really worked that well. So I don't know what's going to happen. To
If they brought back Craig Ferguson, he was hilarious. I love Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to see the success. I do like to see the success of Conan O'Brien, given the marketplace as it is. Like he kind of built his own thing, and that's actually
Speaking
awesome.
of Conan back in the day, man.
Conan,
Gosh, that was some of the like you had to have a certain sense of humor to get it.
Yeah,
because me and my brother, we would be like the random staring contest when him and Mac. That was like the fun, and like other people to be like, well, "What are you laughing about?" I'm like, you either get it or you don't. But some of that stuff was gold back in the day.
Absolutely. Natasha here says people used to get famous from SNL, and now I don't even know who's on there. Exactly.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you.
When Shane Gillis hosted, they had a couple of good skits, but other than having a guest host that actually brings a different energy on a week-to-week basis, it's really nothing to I probably haven't watched it religiously in like 20 plus years. I'd be my guess.
Yeah.
And James Alday wants Arsenio back.
Arsenio. Give 50
Oh,
Cent a
man.
talk show. I'd watch that.
50 Cent?
Just him and his beef
Oh.
this week. I would watch it.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious. He's funny. He's actually
He is
really,
a
really
funny,
funny.
He is a funny dude.
Yeah, when he bought like Jaw Rules, like the
Yeah.
first like 4 rows of his concert out, so it would be empty.
Yep.
That was great.
And Natasha's comment about social media ruin late night shows because everyone doom scrolls now. And that's I was just thinking that in my head. I was thinking to myself like, I see a lot of comedy. This goes to like why we don't go to comedy, like why they're not releasing comedy in the theaters. I get so much of my comedy that I watch from reels.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
like just scrolling through reels and like sending them to my friends and my wife and being like, "This is so funny," and then we like watch them together, you know. So yeah, it's
Well-
tough.
Well, like I'm always sending Jay Churdleys on Instagram.
yeah.
This Churdleys guy is hilarious, and he's actually really smart with his comedy because he always has there's always like a message to it, but he does it in a really funny, just crazy way. You
It's
know?
always culturally inappropriate in an appropriate way.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, great point, Natasha. And yeah, we mentioned In Living Color. That was a great show, legendary show. And then we're gonna get out of here pretty soon. But Rogue here says Ozempic kills humor because fat equals funny. What happened?
We need the
Look what happened to Jonah
Chris
Hill and
Farley
George
would
Carlin.
have never gone on Ozempic. He would not have
Yeah.
done it.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. And I've been hearing some bad stuff about that Ozempic lately.
Yeah.
I would be hesitant. I would put it that way.
Yeah,
Not a lot
yeah,
of
I would
long-term
be
studies there, and
hesitant.
some of the not to get super technical, but the how much food sets in your body more has caused some issues. I'll put it that way. This is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor, but peptide.
By the way, we had some friends come into town and they had not seen Dumb and Dumber, and we were going to one of the filming locations the next day. Part of Dumb and Dumber was filmed in at the Stanley Hotel, which is where Stephen King spent the night and had a nightmare and then wrote The Shining. so it's like that. It's like got a lore to it. And they filmed some of Dumb and Dumber at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. And so we were like, "You haven't seen Dumb and Dumber? Do we rewatch that movie? It is so funny, bro.
Oh, it's great.
Like anybody, if you're looking for a good comedy and you haven't watched one in a while, Dumb and Dumber is top tier."
Oh, dude, that movie is so hilarious. When like the bikini squad comes in, they're like, we're looking for 2 oil guys.
His mind. It's that way.
Yeah. One of the funniest scenes that I had forgotten, and I'm watching it, and I realize it's coming up, but he's rehearsing how he's going to tell Lauren Holly's character how much he loves her, and he's tripping over his words, and he's like, I feel like a schoolboy. I'm just in love with you, and I'm so desperately in love with you. And then he tells her, I'm laughing as it leads up to this moment where he blurts it out, and he can't get his words right. He goes, I desperately want to make love to a schoolboy. And she's like, what? And his dude, it is so funny because he's like saying the totally wrong thing. Oh my gosh, it's funny. I highly recommend Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, it's a great movie. It's a great
Yeah.
movie.
So
I love it. I love it. Cassandra agrees, by the way. She said it's the greatest.
Cassandra knows what she's talking about. That's what's
Hey,
up.
what do you guys think about Superbad? Because that was one of my all-time favorites.
Hilarious.
It was funny. It was funny.
Yeah. It actually, that's one of those movies that does better on a rewatch. There are certain movies where, like, when they came out, I was like, oh, it's kind of funny, I guess. But some movies, when you go back and revisit them, are funny. That one for me was funnier on a rewatch.
Step Brothers was that for me. First time I saw it, I was like, and the more I watched it, I was like, this is hilarious.
The worst comedy experience I've ever had, and then we can talk about this as a whole different type of entertainment. But I was watching Anchorman on a plane, right?
Oh,
My
yeah.
brothers are rolling. They're in like the row ahead of me. They're rolling. They're like, this is the funniest thing ever. I'm sitting next to this older gentleman who turns to me and goes, oh, that movie sucked. It was not funny at all. I'm like, what, dude? You just totally ruined it for me because now if I laugh at anything, you're going to think I'm a weirdo.
Oh, that's
So,
hilarious.
Don't see movies on planes. That's the
Kick
worst.
that guy off a plane.
I know exactly. You're done, sir.
And we got Jose, theme park philosophy. Social media real comedy makes the existentiality of life instantly accessible with almost near duplication of its ridiculousness again and again and again. Yeah.
He's making
Yeah.
up words again. I know
I
he
know.
is.
I know.
Yeah.
He's keeping me on my toes.
Bestiality is not a word. I didn't say that right. It's not a word. I'm gonna go on that hill right now.
I think this is why you watch Theme Park Philosophy, by the way, because of this kind of comment right here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody, make sure you check out.
Jose. If you didn't have the name up there, I'd have been like, "Oh, that was Jose."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, you can hear it in his cadence.
No, 100%. 100%. We got one more comment, then we're gonna get out of here. Medea is funny too.
Okay, it's okay.
There you go.
And James all day said Rush Hour is hilarious, and I totally agree with that. Rush Hour is hilarious.
And the
Yeah,
fourth
no.
one's coming out, apparently.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though Chris Tucker was on Epstein's
Oh.
plane too often, guess he still gets a
Interesting.
redemption arc.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That whole thing is that whole thing. I mean, it seems like there's way more people on that list than there. You know what I'm saying?
In
It's
your
it's like
comedy show, the Epstein Island.
it is crazy, absolutely
That's-
crazy.
Yeah.
And it sucks too because a lot of these people.
dude. It'll be a year. It'll be another hour of this podcast.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's the thing. That's the thing too, because it's like there's people like Jay-Z's on there, right? It's like, come on, why, Jay-Z? I love your music, man. Like, why? Why are you on there? You know, it's like,
Well,
always thought
Jared,
Jay-Z was
Jared and I
overrated.
talk about this in our DMs a lot, but they're also trying to muddy the waters by putting extra people in there and trying to highlight people that maybe don't need to be highlighted, but hey, like let's just muddy the water of who this is all about. So
yeah,
Yep.
no, absolutely.
Hey,
Absolutely.
I wasn't there. I can tell you that much. I don't think any of us were there. All right.
No,
none of
we're
us.
not.
We didn't even get an invite, bro.
Nope.
But we're gonna start our own island just with a bunch of nerds where we can just talk
Yeah.
about theme parks all day and just hang out and
Theme Park
Yeah.
Island. I'm in.
that would be awesome. Absolutely awesome. But I want to thank everybody in chat. We had a lot of people today watching the show. It was really, really cool.
Absolutely.
We got Rogue Attraction, Disney Diva Gem, Rudio in the house. We had John Make It Rain, Cassandra, Cliffix, everybody, Theme Park Philosophy, everybody, Kiki and Luca.
Daniel,
Alpine
don't
was
worry,
going
Daniel.
wild.
We're bringing the theaters back somehow, Daniel. Don't worry about it.
We'll get him. We're gonna get him.
We're gonna get him, Dan. Thank you. And then Matthew Murr, everybody, appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Mr. Capture the Magic, where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Well, thank you for having me. As always, was a really good time. Good discussions. I always enjoy these. And yeah, you can find me at Cap the Magic everywhere. And then if you want some theme park tips and tricks, whatever, at CTM Podcast with my wife and I. And and by the way, I think yet again it proves Jay and I are not the same person. We're
That's right.
similar,
Two
but we're not.
different people.
we're like
Absolutely.
Paramount and Skydance. We're
That's right. And OG is John Lasseter. We just show up.
Oh, I don't know.
Stop hugging me, OG. What are you doing?
I know, right? I know.
Yeah.
I like it. That's just me, though.
Oh my gosh, I actually met him once at
No way.
at DCA. This is years before all his drama. This is like in 2008 or 9. It was in the Blue Sky Cellar over there, and he was in there, and I took a picture with him and stuff. He was nice, but he didn't hug me though. He didn't hug me. Maybe I wasn't his type. I don't know. But Jay, where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, everybody can find me at How Stories Work with Jay Shear here on YouTube. Check me out there. I'm going to try to do daily lives for all weekdays. And so I'm always trying to break down a scene, talk about something that's happening in Hollywood. I had an AI video that came out the other day where I talked about AI and how I thought it was going to affect people. So yeah, check me out. How Stories Work with Jay Shear. Talking about lots of stuff over there, film related.
Yep, check it out. I watch Jay's live shows all the time. Great commentary as always. And you do it every weekday, right?
So far, this is my, what is it? 11th day doing it straight in a row. So yeah.
There we go. There we go. And Mr. Seymour, all the way from the Duck Pond. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. Seymour Duck, where lately I've been talking about a Japanese company called Junta Inc., where it's an entertainment holding company that's been acquiring a bunch of arcade centers all over the world. And you can also find me here on Orange Grove 55 at the Duck Pond.
There he is, the Duck Pond. Duck Pond's a great show. Speaking of late night talk shows. The Duck Pond kind of has that vibe, but we'll talk about corporate. We'll get into like anime, all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's a really, really good show hosted by the one and only Mr. Seymour Duck. So really, really fun show. But everybody at home, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much. And make sure you subscribe to all these fine gentlemen, their YouTube channels, their social medias. I love these guys. Thank you all so much for watching. And until the next time, see you.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and become a member today. Mwah!